The council hall of Virith Prime stood high above the clouds, shining like a crystal mountain. Inside, alien leaders from across the galaxy sat in silence. They had gathered to discuss the strange signals coming from the old human sectors, places long abandoned, or so they believed. At the center of the hall, an old voice broke the silence. "Do not challenge humanity," said Elder Coran, his voice shaking yet strong. "You have all forgotten what they once were." The younger leaders laughed quietly. To them, humans were only myths, a primitive race that had destroyed itself centuries ago. "They are gone, Elder," said Admiral Threx of the Zerath Empire. "Your stories belong in museums, not in council meetings." Coran's ancient eyes opened slowly. "Gone? No, humans never vanish. They hide, they wait, they endure." A faint tremor ran through the hall. The glowing lights above flickered just for a moment. A few delegates looked up uneasy. Coran leaned forward, resting both hands on his old cane made of black stone. "Long ago, when the galaxy was young, we thought we ruled the stars. Then humanity came, fragile, emotional, unpredictable. Yet they did what no empire could. They survived every war, every plague, every fall," the delegates whispered among themselves. Some smiled mockingly. Others simply ignored him. Coran continued, his voice now colder. "When they were betrayed by their allies, when they were pushed to extinction, they made a promise that one day they would return. I was there when the sky burned. I saw their ships fall, but I also saw something else. Their will did not die." The chamber fell silent again. For a few seconds, only the soft hum of the energy field could be heard. Suddenly, a blue light blinked on one of the data screens. Commander Reln, who was managing communications, frowned. "A signal," he muttered. "That's impossible." "What kind of signal?" Threx asked. Reln's eyes widened as he read the frequency. "It's old Earth code, human military distress beacon. Origin point, uncharted Sector 9A. The room erupted into noise. Some delegates stood up in disbelief. Others laughed nervously. "This must be interference," said Threx. "Human code was erased from all systems centuries ago." Coran closed his eyes. "The code is real. It means they are awake." Reln hesitated. "What should we do, Elder?" "Do nothing," Coran said softly. "Pray they are not angry." But Threx slammed his metallic hand on the table. "We will send a fleet. If there is something there, technology, resources, or relics, we will claim it." Coran turned his tired eyes toward him. "You are making a mistake. Humans do not forgive trespassers." The council broke into argument. Words echoed through the crystal walls. Pride, arrogance, and disbelief. Only the Elder remained quiet, staring at the stars beyond the glass dome. He whispered to himself, "You should have listened." Hours later, in the deep void between galaxies, a signal pulsed again. Beep, beep, beep. It was steady, rhythmic. The old human distress code, SOS, Earth origin. Near the forgotten Sector 9A, a dead planet floated in silence. Its surface was grey and cracked, covered with ruins, the remains of old human colonies lost after the Great War. Yet under the surface, something still lived. Buried deep inside a broken facility, a red light blinked in the dark. Machines began to hum softly. Old circuits sparked back to life. A voice, dry and metallic, spoke into the empty air. "Protocol 0, Humanity Defense Systems, standby mode disengaged." In the distance, satellites that had drifted dead for centuries suddenly turned toward the stars. Their lenses opened. They began to search. Back on Virith Prime, Elder Coran sat alone in his chamber, watching the stars through the window. The council had dismissed him. They were preparing fleets to investigate the signal, full of pride and confidence. He sighed. They never learn. He opened an ancient file on his old datapad, a recording from the final days of the human war. Static filled the air for a few seconds before a voice came through. It was human, strong, cold, and calm. "To whoever finds this message, if you hear this, it means the stars have forgotten fear. We are humanity. We fall, we rebuild. And when we return, the galaxy will remember why it feared us." Corin closed the file and looked up. Outside, the twin moons of Virith shone softly, but one of them began to flicker, a sign of energy disturbances in the outer orbit. "Too soon," he whispered. "They are waking too soon." He stood, though his legs trembled. He sent one final message to the Galactic Union. "Stop your fleet. Do not touch the human signal. You cannot control what you are about to wake." But no one listened. Within hours, dozens of warships were already on their way to Sector 9A, their engines cutting through space like fire. The Elder leaned back in his chair, closing his eyes. "So it begins again," he murmured. Far away, the distress beacon went silent. Then the entire system went dark for a full second, and then, all at once, every power station, every starship, every comm tower across the galaxy flickered. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. In that single second, a new signal appeared on every major communication network. It was a single message written in Old Earth English. "We warned you once. We will not warn you again." The galaxy's leaders stared at their screens, speechless. On Virith Prime, Elder Quran opened his eyes slowly. A faint smile crossed his face, half sorrow, half awe. "They are back," he whispered. The stars outside glowed brighter for a moment, as if something ancient and unstoppable had just opened its eyes. The fleet of the Zerath Empire cut through the dark like blades of silver light. 50 warships moved together, their engines humming with pride and power. The orders were clear: investigate the human signal, retrieve whatever remained, and bring glory to the Empire. Admiral Threx stood at the command deck of the flagship Iron Fang. His eyes glowed faintly under the control implants that wrapped around his head. He stared at the projection of the dead planet now appearing on the main screen. "Sector 9A, he said, his voice calm but eager. "So this is the world the old man feared." His second-in-command, Captain Reln, frowned. "Scanners detect ruins beneath the surface. No life forms. Radiation minimal. But," he hesitated, "there is energy under the crust." "Faint but active," Threx smiled. "Perfect. Prepare a landing party. Let us see what kind of ghosts humanity left behind." The fleet descended through thick grey clouds. Lightning flashed as the ships entered the atmosphere, revealing a planet of ash and dust. Black towers leaned against the horizon, half buried in sand. The ruins looked ancient, but there was something unnatural about the symmetry, like they were built to last forever. Reln stepped onto the ground first, his boots crunching over broken metal plates. "This place feels wrong," he muttered. Behind him, soldiers spread out, scanning with bright drones. The air was cold and silent. Only the faint hum of energy came from below. One of the soldiers, a young Zerath named Caro, knelt beside a buried structure. "Sir, I found something." Threx walked over, brushing the dust away. Beneath it was a black surface, smooth and perfect, untouched by time. Strange markings covered it, the Old English language, barely visible under the grime. Reln tilted his head. "Can you translate?" Caro ran a scanner over the markings. "Yes, Admiral, it says, Facility Echo 13, property of the United Earth Defense Command." Threx grinned. "A human military site. Excellent. We may find weapons, archives, maybe even AI cores." He gave a sharp order. "Open it." The ground shook as they used plasma drills to cut through the structure. The air turned thick with heat and smoke. Then, with a deep metallic groan, the door opened. A black corridor leading down into darkness. Lights flickered on by themselves, one by one. Reln whispered, "Sir, I don't like this." Threx ignored him. "Humans built this for war. That means it hides something valuable." Keep moving. Deep below the surface, they entered a huge chamber filled with rows upon rows of machines. Giant metal shapes stood like statues, motionless soldiers in silver armor. Dust covered them, but each one was perfectly intact. Caro swallowed hard.
"Are these robots?"
Reln scanned them. Human combat drones. Designation, Sentinel units. Power sources inactive. Threx stepped forward, placing his gloved hand on one of the machines. "Look at this craftsmanship. Even dead, they look ready to fight." He turned to his soldiers. "Record everything. We will claim the entire facility. Then, without warning, one of the drone's eyes flashed blue for a fraction of a second. Everyone froze. Relon raised his weapon. "Sir, I saw movement." "Relax," Threx said. "It is just a power echo. Old systems often—" The floor vibrated. Then came a soft voice, ancient and cold, echoing through the speakers of the chamber. "Unauthorized presence detected. Confirm identity." The soldiers exchanged nervous looks. Threx tried to keep calm. "This is Admiral Threx of the Zerath Empire. We claim this facility in the name of the Galactic Union." The voice paused. "Unknown entity. Identity not recognized. Security protocol activating." A low hum filled the air. Red lights blinked across every machine. Reln shouted, "Sir, we should leave." But Threx grinned. "No, we can control it. Connect to its interface." Caro hesitated, then tapped his wrist console, linking to the system. "Trying to override?" "Wait," his screen flashed red. "Sir, it's rewriting my commands." The voice spoke again, louder now, carrying a strange rhythm. "Protocol 0. Humanity Defense Network reinitializing." The ground cracked. The ceiling lights turned blood red. One by one, the dormant drones began to move. Their eyes glowed like burning stars. Reln screamed, "Fall back! Fall back now!" Threx stood frozen, watching in disbelief as the first sentinel raised its head. Its armor gleamed under the red light. It turned toward him and saluted. Then the voice filled the chamber once more. "To those who disturb our rest, remember what you feared. Humanity endures." Above the planet, the Iron Fang detected massive power spikes below the surface. "Admiral, we're getting strange readings," said the helmsman. "The planet's crust is alive." Moments later, dozens of heat signatures erupted from the ground. Something was launching, sleek black ships, ancient but flawless, rising from the ruins. "Identify those ships." Reln shouted. The computer responded flatly. "Unable to classify. Technology unknown. Origin Earth." Threx's pride finally broke. "Retreat! All ships retreat!" But it was too late. The sky turned white as the first blast hit. The shockwave threw the Iron Fang into chaos. Every screen went dark. Every system failed. For 3 full seconds, all they could hear was static. Then a single message appeared across every console. In Old Earth text, "The time of silence is over." On Virith Prime, Elder Koran woke suddenly in his chair. He felt it. A ripple through space, a tremor in the energy fields. He looked toward the stars. The old human sector was glowing, he whispered. They touched the sleeping fire. Around him, the city lights began to flicker again. Far away, in the darkness between worlds, a massive ship appeared, the remnant of Earth. Its hull carried scars from wars 1,000 years old. Yet its engines burned brighter than any star. Inside, a single AI voice spoke into the void. "Signal received. Humanity awakened. Operation Dawnfall, commence." The stars shifted. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. Humanity had stirred again. In the heart of the galaxy, panic spread faster than light. Every world that once laughed at the elders, warnings now whispered the same name, humans. The first confirmed report came from a mining colony on the edge of the Aros belt. A massive shadow had passed above their moons, and the stars had vanished for a full minute. When light returned, the colony's defense grid was gone, disabled, not destroyed. On their main screen, one message appeared, written in an ancient language that only a few could still translate. "You trespassed upon our graves. We remember." The miners fled, abandoning the colony. Within hours, more reports arrived, pirate ships disappearing, military outposts gone silent, trade routes flickering with static. Something was moving through the dark, something intelligent, something patient. On Virith Prime, the Galactic Council was in chaos. The same leaders who mocked Elder Koran were now pale and speechless. The council chamber was filled with frightened voices, overlapping, trembling. They attacked the Zerath fleet. And no, worse, they erased them. Every ship gone. No debris, no signals. The council's central display showed a dark region in space where the fleet had been. Now just a black void. Elder Koran stood silently in the corner. His face looked older, almost carved from stone. "They are not attacking," he said quietly. "They are reminding." The council leader, High Chancellor Oren, slammed the table. "Reminding us of what?" "They are destroying our fleets." Koran turned to him. "No, Chancellor. If they wanted you dead, there would be no councils left to argue." The words silenced the room. Even Oren's anger faded into fear. Koran continued, "Humans do not act without purpose. They warned us once. You ignored them. Now they will show you why the stars once feared their name." On the other side of the galaxy, deep inside the Derath system, a convoy of warships floated in silence. Admiral Threx's flagship Iron Fang had not reported back. The Zereth Empire demanded vengeance. Their new commander, Lord Kalor, addressed his crew. "We will strike first. We will remind these ghosts who rules the galaxy now." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, but as they emerged, something was waiting. Not a fleet, not an army, just one ship, black as night, silent and motionless. Kalor sneered. "Only one? Fire all cannons!" Thousands of plasma rounds tore through space. The single ship didn't move. Every blast hit an invisible field and vanished like drops into water. Then the human ship responded, not with weapons, but with a pulse of light. In seconds, every Zerath ship system shut down. Power vanished. Life support flickered. Screens went dark. A voice came through every communicator at once, calm and cold. "You took what was not yours. You ignored the warnings. This is your silence." And just like that, every ship in the fleet vanished from scanners. Not destroyed, not exploded, just gone. Back on Virith Prime, the news shattered morale. Civilizations began to panic. Some smaller empires offered surrender without a single human presence seen. Others began hiding, jamming signals, hoping to disappear. In a desperate attempt to stop the chaos, the council begged Elder Koran for answers. "Where are they coming from? What do they want?" asked Chancellor Oren. Koran's eyes reflected the glowing stars above the council dome. "They do not come from anywhere. They never left. Humanity hides in the deep systems, the places you never dared to explore." He paused. "And what they want is not conquest. It is memory." That same night, across 1,000 worlds, every screen flickered to life. Civilians, soldiers, even children looked up as the lights dimmed and a blue symbol appeared. The Earth emblem, encircled by fire. A voice followed. It was deep, human, and clear. "To all species of the Galactic Union, we are the children of Earth. You buried our cities. You erased our history. You called us extinct. Yet here we stand, older, wiser, unbroken." The voice paused. Across planets, beings listened, breath held. "We have no wish for war, but you came to our graves. You took what was not yours. You laughed at our dead. Now you will understand why even your ancestors feared our name." The broadcast ended. Silence returned, but something changed. For the first time in centuries, fear returned to the stars. Elder Koran stood on the balcony of his tower, looking up at the night sky. The twin moons of Virith glowed faintly, but one was now shadowed by a massive form. A ship the size of a small continent. It moved slowly, silently, blocking out the light. He whispered, "You came back." A small voice came from behind him. It was a young Virith child, barely old enough to speak. "Elder, are we going to die?" Koran turned, placing his wrinkled hand on the child's head. "No, little one. They are not here to destroy. They are here to remind us who we used to be." Far above them, the shadowed ship drifted closer, and faint lights formed across its surface. Ancient words in glowing blue, visible to every telescope in the sector. It said only this: "We endure. We forgive, but we do not forget." The galaxy watched in silence as the human fleet began to gather. From the dead worlds, from forgotten systems, from dark space, humanity was rising again, and every empire that once mocked their name now whispered in fear. They warned us, but we never listened. The night sky of Virith Prime glowed red, not from sunrise, but from the thousands of ships that now filled the heavens. They came without sound, without warning, and without hesitation. Massive vessels of human design, some sleek and black like blades, others ancient and scarred from wars long forgotten. Their hulls bore a single mark, a faded blue circle with a white continent inside. Earth's emblem. The galaxy had never seen such order. Every human ship moved as if guided by one heartbeat. No chaos, no chatter, no threats, only silence and purpose. Inside the Galactic Council Hall, leaders of every species gathered in fear. The room shook as the first human dreadnought entered orbit. Its shadow covered half the city. Sirens wailed across Vireth's spires, though everyone knew no defense could help them. High Chancellor Orin stood frozen before the massive viewing window. "Are they invading?" he whispered. Elder Corin shook his head. His face was calm, almost sorrowful. "They do not invade. They return." A voice suddenly filled the chamber, deep, human, and clear. Not through the speakers, but through the very air itself. "This is Fleet Command of the United Earth Defense. Stand down your weapons. There will be no battle today." Every soldier in the city dropped their arms instinctively. The tone carried something they could not define, authority mixed with mercy. The council chamber flickered. A blue hologram appeared in the center, a man in simple uniform, grey hair, and calm eyes. He looked neither cruel nor angry. He simply looked tired. "We asked for peace once," the hologram said. "You mocked us. We built our silence into strength, and now we return not to conquer, but to protect what remains." Outside, the human fleet moved. Small ships descended not with weapons, but with drones that repaired the broken orbital stations. They restored power grids that had failed. They rerouted energy to hospitals and cities. It was not destruction. It was control. Yet to every alien who watched, it felt like a reminder. Humanity could end them at any second, and chose not to. Across the galaxy, old human colonies hidden for centuries began to awaken. Planets long thought dead lit up with blue beacons. On one world, children of mixed alien descent knelt as tall figures stepped from dropships, clad in black armor. Their helmets bore a glowing symbol, HOME, Humanity's Outer Mission Expedition. One soldier removed his helmet. His face was weathered, human, but his eyes burned with light. He whispered, "After centuries, we are home again." In the council hall, the holographic commander continued speaking. "Elder Corin of Vireth, you remembered the warning. You tried to stop them. For that your world will live." Corin bowed his head. "And the others?" The human looked away. His voice softened. "Those who provoked us will lose their weapons, not their lives. The age of empires is over." Chancellor Orin stepped forward, trembling. "You cannot just take our fleets, our systems, our—" The hologram turned to him. For a second, the room's temperature dropped. "We are not taking them. We are returning them to balance. You forgot that the stars do not belong to any one species. Not even us." The hologram paused. His eyes seemed to see beyond the room, beyond time itself. "We are the children of Earth. We carry its memory. And though we have been scattered, we never broke." Outside, the first sunlight pierced the horizon. Through the clouds, a massive human carrier ship hovered, spreading bright blue shields around the planet. Aliens in the streets looked up in awe. For the first time, there was no fear, only quiet wonder. Corin stood on the council balcony, his cloak fluttering in the morning wind. He spoke softly, mostly to himself. "Humanity does not rule. It reminds." Behind him, the council members stood in silence, unable to look away from the sight above, the endless rows of human ships stretching across the dawn. Later that day, as the fleet began to depart, a final message echoed across every communication channel in the galaxy. It was not a threat, it was a vow. To those who remember, peace will remain. To those who forget, history will repeat. We are humanity. We endure, we forgive, but we never forget. The stars dimmed for a moment as the human armada entered hyperspace, leaving trails of silver light that stretched across the sky like falling stars. And just like that, they were gone. Weeks passed. The galaxy began to recover. Empires that once ruled through fear now spoke of rebuilding through unity. The words peace, memory, endurance spread across schools, banners and ships. Yet every night, When the stars shimmered above Virith Prime, Elder Koran could feel their presence, watching, waiting. He stood again on his balcony one evening, whispering into the quiet. "You were right, old friends." They were unstoppable, the twin moons reflected in his tired eyes as he smiled faintly. May the galaxy never forget what happens when it provokes the children of Earth, and somewhere, far beyond known space, on a blue world long hidden under nebula clouds, a human child looked up at her sky. She tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mama, will they ever fear us again?" Her mother smiled gently. "No, little one, not fear. They will remember." Above them, a massive ship glided silently through the clouds, its lights forming a single glowing word. Humanity and the galaxy, once proud and divided, would forever whisper one lesson in the dark. The elders warned them, do not challenge humanity, but they never listened.